What is a bad title? A bad title is a title with defects, making it unmarketable. A bad title in real estate refers to a title that does not confer clear ownership of the property to the owner of the title. A bad title can be generated for many different reasons, such as legal disputes or issues, financial problems like unpaid taxes or liens associated with the property, clerical errors in the documentation, incomplete or faulty certification of occupancy, incorrectly signed or written deeds, unresolved legal debts, incorrect surveys, or building code violations. These issues can prevent the title owner from legally selling or transferring the title. What is bait and switch? Bait and switch is a deceptive sales technique that involves advertising to a consumer with a particular product, service, or rate to attract them, then persuading them to accept something more costly. Most states have consumer protection laws that make this tactic illegal. What is balance sheet? A balance sheet is a property management report that shows a snapshot of a specific property at specific moment in time. For example, cash on hand, liabilities, outstanding loan balance. What is balloon framing? Balloon framing is a technique of a framing where the long vertical pieces called studs are installed in a continuous piece from foundation to roofline. Balloon framing construction technique is no longer used because it has a flaw. When a fire starts on the first floor, fire and smoke quickly spread along the empty space between the studs to other floors of the building. Fire blocking is essential. Buildings use platform framing, a better construction technique. What is balloon payment? Balloon payment is a final lump sum payment at the end of the loan term to pay off the entire remaining balance of principal and interest not covered by payments during the loan term. What is bankruptcy? Bankruptcy is a court process that cancels some debt and provides some relief for creditors. Chapter 7, sometimes called straight bankruptcy, is a liquidation proceeding. Chapter 13, sometimes called a reorganization proceeding, is filed by individuals who want to pay off their debts over a period of 3 to 5 years. Chapter 11, bankruptcy is often used by large companies and rarely by individuals when debts exceed Chapter 13 limits. What is bargain and sale deed? Bargain and sale deed is a type of deed that implies that the grantor owns the property and has the right to convey it, but there are no warranties that go with it. What is base rent? Base rent is the minimum amount of rent indicated in a lease. What is base year? Base year is a period for determining a property's actual operating expenses, typically over the first year of a lease term, that is used as the point of reference against which increases in subsequent years are compared and then passed on to the tenant. What is baseline? Baseline is main east-west line designated and named throughout the country for the use with the rectangular survey system. What is beam? A long piece of timber or metal that spans an opening or part of a building and provides support to a roof or floor above it. Beams are installed horizontally. What is benchmark? Benchmark is a bronze disc permanently placed and precisely identified by government survey teams. The image is an example of the US land surveying benchmark. What is beneficiary? Beneficiary is a person designated to receive benefits from a certain act, such as one who benefits from a trust. What is bilateral contract? Bilateral contract is a contract in which both parties make a binding promise to the other. What is bill of sale? Bill of sale is a document used to transfer ownership of personal property from one person to another. What is binder? Binder is an agreement that may accompany an earnest money deposit for the purchase of real property as evidence of the purchaser's good faith and intent to complete the transaction. It is important to note a binder is not a sales contract. It is used, however, by attorneys as the blueprint for creating a sales contract. What is biweekly payment plan? A biweekly payment plan is a fixed rate mortgage set up like a standard 30-year conventional loan, but payments are made every 2 weeks instead of every month. What is blanket mortgage? Blanket mortgage is a mortgage loan that covers more than one parcel of real estate, usually used to finance entire subsection developments rather than an individual unit or lot. What is blind advertisement? Blind advertisement is generally any real estate advertisement that is used by a licensee regarding the sale or lease of real estate or of licensed activities that does not include the broker's name or business name. Blind advertisement is prohibited in most states. In California, blind advertising in real estate is generally not legal for licensed real estate professionals. Blind ads are those that do not disclose the identity of the broker or agent responsible for the advertisement. According to the California Department of Real Estate, all real estate advertisements must include the name and license number of the responsible broker. However, blind ads can be used by property owners who are not licensed real estate agents or brokers. The key issue arises when licensed professionals use blind ads to list properties without disclosing their identity or license status, which is not permissible. What is blockbusting? Blockbusting is the illegal practice of inducing owners to sell their homes, often at a deflated price, by suggesting the ethnic or racial composition of the neighborhood is changing, with the implication that property values will decline as a result. Blockbusting is also called panic selling or panic peddling. Blockbusting in real estate is prohibited by both federal and California laws. The Fair Housing Act of 1968 makes blockbusting illegal. The act prohibits discrimination in the sale, rental, and financing of housing based on race, color, religion, sex, familial status, disability, and national origin. Specifically, it forbids any attempt to induce homeowners to sell their properties by suggesting that people of a particular race or other protected characteristic are moving into the neighborhood. The California Fair Employment and Housing Act also prohibits blockbusting. The state law extends protections under housing discrimination and includes provisions like the Federal Fair Housing Act. What is blueprint? Blueprint is a detailed diagram, usually created by an architect, that is used to evaluate, design, determine feasibility, and guide the construction of a structure. What is boot? Boot is extra non-like kind property that can be a part of a like kind exchange to make up for pricing disparity between like kind properties. Boot refers to any additional value, such as cash or other property, added to an exchange to balance the value of the properties being traded. This term is particularly important in the context of 1031 exchanges, where it helps equalize the value of the properties being swapped. There are two main types of boot. Cash boot. This involves actual cash given to make up the difference in value in the property exchange. Mortgage boot. This occurs when the mortgage in the replacement property is less than that on the relinquished property, creating a taxable event. Understanding boot is critical for managing tax implications in property exchanges, as it can affect the deferment of capital gains taxes. What is bounds? Bounds refers to boundaries. It is used with the word meets in the meets and bounds method of land description. What is boycott? Boycott is a concerted refusal by two or more people to deal with a particular person or company. What is breach? Breach is Violation of an obligation, duty, or law. What is breach of contract? Breach of contract is failure without legal excuse to perform any promise which forms the whole or part of a contract. What is breach of trust? Breach of trust is the failure by someone entrusted with care or property of others to discharge the duties imposed on them under the terms of an agreement or other obligation. It may be malice or due to negligence or carelessness. What is bridge mortgage? Bridge mortgage is a mortgage loan that occurs between the termination of one mortgage and the commencement of another. When the next mortgage is taken out, the bridge is repaid. It is often used in project financing of a real estate development. What is British Thermal Unit, also known as BTU? British Thermal Unit, or the BTU, is the amount of heat needed to raise the temperature of 1 pound of water by 1 degree Fahrenheit. It is used to measure the capacity of furnaces and air conditioning units. Who is a broker? A broker is a person who, for a fee, sells, lists, leases, exchanges, negotiates, or otherwise deals in the real estate of others or represents publicly that he or she does so. What is broker price opinion, or the BPO? Broker price opinion is the estimated value of a property as determined by a real estate licensee or other qualified individual. It is often done at the request of a lender for non-federally related property transactions. What is Broker Protection Clause? Broker Protection Clause is an optional clause that brokers may include in a listing agreement that obligates the seller to compensate the broker even if the property is sold after the listing agreement expires under certain circumstances. This clause is also called carryover provision or extender clause. What is broker-dealer? Broker-dealer is a person or organization that engages in the business of trading securities, such as stocks and bonds, for its own account or on behalf of its customers. What is brokerage? Brokerage is a business that serves as an intermediary between buyers and sellers and or lessees and leasers of real estate. What is brownfield? Brownfield is any real property where redevelopment or reuse may be complicated by the presence or potential presence of hazardous waste, petroleum, pollutant, or contaminant. What is budget mortgage? Budget mortgage is a mortgage agreement where payments include principal and interest on the loan, plus 1/12 of the year's ad valorem property taxes and hazard insurance premiums. What is buffer zone? Buffer zone is a means by which planners use a space to separate two adjoining districts which have incompatible uses. A buffer zone consists of uses which are compatible with uses in each adjoining district. A buffer zone is created on both sides of a water, such as a river. There may be special rules that govern what can or cannot be built on a buffer zone. What is building code? Building code is a means of setting construction standards requiring builders to use particular methods and materials, regulations establishing minimum standards for construction and materials. What is building department? Building department is a group of people responsible for issuing building permits and seeing that building codes are followed and construction and renovations are done by licensed professionals. What is building efficiency? Building efficiency is the ratio of usable square footage to rentable square footage. It is a building inspection process whereby local government officials ensure compliance with state and local building codes. What are building permits? Building permits are official documents from a local government or other authority that allows the beginning of a construction or remodeling project. What is a bundle of rights? Bundle of rights is all real property rights that are conferred with ownership, including the right of possession, right of quiet enjoyment, right of disposition, right of exclusion, and right of control. Ownership of land. When a person is holding the title of land or real estate, the person has ownership to land or real estate. A deed is the evidence of the transfer of the title. The bundle of rights explains the different rights that come with property ownership. It helps to think of a bundle of rights as a collection of building blocks. Like building blocks, each of these rights can be separated and reassembled. Each building block represents a distinct and separate right of the owner. The block represents the right to use the property, to sell it, to lease it, or to give it away. These are also known as the right of enjoyment, the right of possession, the right of exclusion, the right of disposition, and the right of control. If a homeowner does not pay a mechanic for work within a home, the mechanic may file a mechanic lien on the property. The lien may prevent the owner from exercising rights in the bundle of rights, such as the right of disposition, until the lien is resolved. There are limits and laws that override the rights from the bundle of rights. For example, the right of enjoyment is still subject to laws and regulations. Therefore, a homeowner's right of enjoyment may be limited by local noise regulations at night. What is buyer agency agreement? Buyer agency agreement is a contract between a buyer and a broker that grants the broker the right to represent the buyer in the purchase or lease of property, and that makes the buyer responsible for paying commission to the broker. What is buyer's agent? Buyer's agent is a licensed agent representing the interests of the buyer of a property. What is buyer's market? Buyer's market is a situation in the housing market when There are many homes available for sale, but few buyers. In a buyer's market, a buyer has more leverage than the seller of a house or a property. What is bylaws? Bylaws are rules and regulations that govern the activities of condominium and cooperative associations, including the purpose of the building, rules for elections and voting, and frequency of board of directors or shareholder meetings.